I found a way to run my old computers with no hard drive. Here it is, and it's not in. Here it is, and it's not in. Here it is.
Right, so I'm doing it on here because I've just done a video on Facebook, but I don't know if it went through or not. So I'm going to try to cut this one down. Actually, this is the way I see it, right? Yeah, at the moment about the PPE that the government is supposed to have ordered for the NHS and other medical services, like old people's homes and I suppose some of the surgeries and private hospitals and stuff like that. Yeah. What I've been reading is that people have been trying to contact the government, stating that they've got PPE, personal protective stuff, available to give to the NHS, yeah. And a lot of people who've contacted the government has been hitting a brick wall. The government's not responded to them. So my idea was, why don't people who have stocks or can actually manufacture PPE actually go directly to the hospitals and give it to them directly, instead of asking the government what they need to do? Because, to be honest with you, the government is like, well, they don't know what they're doing, to be honest with you, half the time anyway. A lot of what the government's saying, and I'm sorry to say this, but they're talking out of their backsides at the moment. So look, bull crap. They reckon that they've just ordered, like, was it 83 tons of PPE to distribute amongst the NHS and other medical services. And guess what? It didn't turn up, did it? They reckon there's a delay. Now, I think they actually ordered it from Turkey. Now, is it the fault of Turkey not delivering it on time? Is it the fault of Turkey not actually having it ready on time to be delivered on time? Or is it the government just saying that they've not received it and they have received it and they don't want to give it out yet? Because not long ago, I watched a video where apparently the government sent over so much PPE to China because China needed it themselves at the time, yeah? But now that we ain't got the amount that we need in our country, the government apparently spent so much millions or trillions of dollars to buy PPE directly from China. So if they order it from China, where's the stuff from China? Or is that just BS? Why give PPE to China when they actually mass produce PPE themselves over there? Don't make sense, does it? Was it any particular PPE that they actually sent over to China? Or did they send it to another country that required it? Well, it's kind of like confusing. The government saying one thing and then changing their story the next time, kind of thing. You just don't know if to believe and trust the government. Now, what if all these companies that have offered to supply, the NHS and other medical services, the ambulance services, the fire crew, the police and stuff like that, PPE. What if the government says, yes, send it all here? Is the government going to be honest enough to give all that out to the people that need it? Or are they going to stockpile it and sell it to different countries like they have done in the past? And I can't say they haven't because there's news articles out there that they've done it. I know the news lies, just like the government lies, but hey, come on. There's got to be some truth somewhere around there, isn't there? All right? I can understand they're in a lockdown But in the lockdown was a lie, innit? It's supposed to only going to last about 3 weeks until they've done a review. Now, where's all this data that they're supposed to be getting? Why is the data taking so long for them to actually decide when and how they're going to close down the lockdown? Now, sometimes they're saying, well, it could be 6 weeks. Some are saying 6 months, it's saying like 12 months. It's all down to the data, which they're supposed to be getting. So how do you take, getting data daily and, looking at the data and saying, well, okay, like 500 people died yesterday, but 10,000 were still infected. How many people are going to be dying from that infection tomorrow? Or is it going to be more and less? They could be reviewing this fucking data for weeks or even months before they decide if they're going to, loosen up the lockdown. And because of this lockdown, they have actually ruined millions of people's lives by closing businesses like big shopping centres, Primarks, Marks and Spencers, really big companies. Debenhams even's been affected, and Debenhams got like a 16 chain of stores around. I don't know if it's throughout the whole UK or worldwide. But even they're looking at bankruptcy, and the government states that they're going to be helping out all these businesses with the money they're losing. Well, they may be saying that, but where is the money coming from? It's the taxpayers' money, isn't it? Which you've been paying in to the government for years and years and years. They're using that, and once they've used it all, I guarantee you in the next year or two, the taxes are going to go back up again, and you're going to be paying back what the government's put in out of your pocket again. The government's not going to give you nothing free. No, the government's... I'll probably get arrested for this, but the government's always been corrupted. All governments are corrupted. Even news media is corrupted. They lie through their teeth. One newspaper say the other day, one newspaper stated that the UK has suffered 13,500 deaths through the coronavirus. Another newspaper stated 13,650. Then another newspaper stated it's 16,000. And it's all within an hour or so. And they don't get that information until the following morning. So all the newspapers are adding false numbers to the death toll. Now again, with the death toll, how do we know that all these deaths are actually created by the coronavirus? How do we not know that some of these could be deaths by natural causes, or road accidents, or suicides, or murders? There's no proof that they're not actually adding those numbers on to the numbers of the coronavirus. They could be. They didn't even consider about adding the deaths of the people who lived in old people's homes at one time, but now they're looking at it. They reckon it's a lot more than it's supposed to be. Well, of course it's going to be. If they've not been adding on the people who's died in old people's homes, it's going to add up, isn't it? But I'll be honest with you. Even a lot of people through different countries are saying that these numbers are manipulated. Where's the proof? Where's the proof that 14,000 people have died? Where's the body bags? Where's the actual cut down and number? Surrey reckons they've lost probably about 1,400 people, yeah, in around where I live. And there's been about 6,000-7,000 that's been infected, what they know of. It's just numbers. Where's the proof that these people have been, classified as infected? Where's the proof that these people have actually died from the coronavirus? Are we going to see that proof? No. I'm not asking to see death certificates. Well, even on the news the other day, one news interview was saying, well, hang on a minute. How do we know that certain deaths hasn't been manipulated and put on as on the death certificate, whatever? And I said, well, if it is I think he was talking to one of the NHS staff, yeah. I said, well, what they normally do is that, when people die, it goes, to the medical services, probably the morgue or whatever who does the death certificates, and they will put down how they actually died. Now, are they actually putting down on the death certificates, Tom Bloggs died from the coronavirus? How do they know they didn't die just from a normal flu or an overdose or something? Are they actually manipulating those numbers on those death certificates? Are they adding it? Because another one said, well, we're only I can't think of the word for it, to be honest with you. It's more like guessing that they die from the coronavirus. Because, the coronavirus is like a flu-like epidemic in it. People died last year from the flu. Apparently there was over 10,000 people that died from the flu last year. The coronavirus is like a flu-like epidemic, but supposedly worse than it is like the normal flu. But if you think about it, if 10,000 people died from the flu last year, right, and 13,000 people died so far from the virus, the COVID-19, it's not that big a number, is it really? It's only 3,000 more. But then, people are saying, well, hang on a minute. That is a total of last year, 10,000 people died. Is that a number that they threw out? That someone made up? Where's the proof that 10,000 people died last year of the flu? Where's the proof that 13,000 people, and still going, have actually died from the coronavirus? No, I do feel sorrow and pity for the people who have died. And, I feel sorry for the people who have actually had or still has got the coronavirus, yeah. I'm hoping that those people who are infected will, get better and survive it, yeah. They reckon that, medical services reckon that the more vulnerable people would have been people between the ages of 60 to 75, right? Now, it's kind of strange that in the last couple of weeks, there's several people in the age range of 90 to 100 plus have actually had the coronavirus and survived it. And they reckon that the elderly were more, were going to be more at risk. They said children ain't going to get it. But yeah, about 3 children under the age of 18 or under the age of 16. I think one was about 6 months old that died from the coronavirus. I know they're still trying to learn and understand the coronavirus, but, to be honest with you, they shouldn't be giving out all this wrongful information because they are scaring the public. They can't be giving out numbers which are incorrect. They can't be saying that, this is not going to affect certain people unless they've got proof it's not going to affect certain people. There are going to be people that's going to be immune to it. Yeah, of course there is. You had people, hundreds and thousands of people who is immune to the virus that went around last year. We get viruses every year, whether it being man-made, under biological researches, or just general flus that have been created by wildlife. Animals carry diseases. Think about it. Every animal can carry its own disease. They reckon the disease comes from the bats, right? Rabies. They come from animals, don't it? Where did the plague come from? Where did the Black Death come from? Now, I haven't been researching, different diseases over the last 100 years. That's one thing I ain't going to sit and do because I can't be bothered. But people are going to die, whether through a plague, an epidemic, a virus, medical reasons, murder, everyone, people are going to die throughout every year, even wars, world wars, people have died. But there's no proof that I've not seen that 13,600 people have died from the coronavirus. I want to see the evidence. Not just me, a lot of other people want to see the evidence. So like for someone coming up from the NHS and say, well, like 20 people died, they got the evidence, fair enough. But a lot of this is being kept back from the public and not being shown to us because the government wants to scare us in believing that it's worse than it is. And I'm not the only one who's saying this. And they can't arrest me because freedom of speech. I'm not saying nothing negative against the government, really. Apart from I believe that they are corrupt. All governments are corrupted anyway. How many times that the government says something and it's not been done? And they reckon they had enough PPE that they believe would have seen us through this epidemic, but they hadn't. They would have done if they didn't give it to different countries. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But they helped other countries out, especially China, with some of the PPE, didn't they? And what they had to do? They had to buy it back. Not the same stock, but other stock. And not just, us buying it back, but other countries had to buy it back, buy PPE from China as well, which ended up to be defective. Crap. Shit. Now, I've got some stuff here, right? Yeah. Which I'd love to donate, but I can't because it's contaminated. It's been in my drawer. I've got gloves here, yeah, which I've had in my drawer for well over a year. I can't remember what I bought them for. Probably when I was doing some woodworking, when I was trying to put a woodworking hobby on. I bought a couple of packets of these, and I bought some of these little plastic aprons. And in my drawer, there's probably about 50 of these aprons in my bag in the drawer. I can't go and donate them to the hospital because they're contaminated. Not by the virus, but from, bacteria, germs that roam around in your house. If these were still sealed in the box and the box wasn't open, I'd have only been too glad to take them down to the hospital and say, hey, here's some gowns, here's some gloves. I wouldn't have gone to the fucking government and said, hey, I've got a stockload of gowns and gloves to give to the hospitals, to the NHS. Can you tell me where I can send them to? No, I'll be going down to the hospital myself and actually handing them over physically myself. Not just, trying to get my name in the paper like some people have done in the past, but at least I would have done something decent, kind of thing. And I think it's wrong that where these people have got stockpile of PPE, or they can produce and manufacture PPE. What I think is wrong is that they're doing the good thing. They're trying to contact the government, but the government is doing the wrong thing by not actually replying to them and saying, yeah, okay, you can send them here. But even if they were to get their reply, because at the moment in the papers it's these people who can manufacture them or produce them or got stocks of them are saying at the moment, right? It's hitting a brick wall with the government, yeah. Now let's say that brick wall fell down and the government actually decided to answer each one of these people saying, yeah, send them here, send them here. How do we know that PPE, which people are going to donate to the NHS, which goes for the government, is going to be kind of given out in a correct way? how do we know that the government's going to like keep a fraction or even half or even more of that and send to another country? You know, to be honest with you guys, if anyone has got PPE, I would advise you to take it down directly. You know, it's not going to cost you even more extra money, you know, by shipping it. You probably have to ship it to the government, and the government's not going to pay you for their shipping costs, I very much doubt. So why not just take it down to your local hospital or your local old people's home or someone, because old people's homes need them. Now, I've got family that works in NHS, and they've not had no PPE. And they can't get it. The government's not giving it to them. My sister works for one of these elderly home care things, yeah? She's not had no PPE that I've heard of. So, you know, why not just take it down yourself? You know, so like the government says one thing, but it never happens. I suppose for 82 tons of like PPE delivered, and I was going to like kind of distribute it within the week. It's supposed to have been here, you know, today or yesterday, and it never arrived. Never arrived. So is that the fault of the government, or is it the fault of the people, Turkey, that's supposed to have sent it? Don't send me messages on Facebook. My daughter. Well, I ain't said nothing about it, so I don't know if she got to hear about that, Jessica. I'll answer your messages later, because I'm streaming, as you know. So, what's going to happen now? You know, how's the NHS going to survive without no PPE? You know, even the NHS is getting a bit angry with the government at the moment, apparently, because they're not getting the PPE that they've been promised, and I don't blame them. And there was a story earlier that I read. I didn't read all of it, but I read some of it that doctors are actually contemplating in not treating people anymore until they get the PPE. So if the doctors and nurses aren't going to treat people who has the virus, and many more people die, whose fault is it going to be? It's going to be the government, isn't it? So not supplying the fucking PPE that the NHS need. So it's all right for them saying, well, you know, lockdown, you know, because like, you know, we're waiting for the numbers. Well, the numbers are going to increase, aren't they? Of course they are. People are still going to die, and the numbers are going to be a lot more in the next few weeks until, you know, the NHS gets their medical supplies, because in the papers it states that, you know, they don't want to be treating people without the right protection. Because how many doctors and nurses have died over this? And people, you know, that actually work on NHS. Now, not many, but, you know, it's still people that's losing their lives, aren't they? You know, you've got hundreds of thousands of people have come out of retirement to work on, you know, back into the NHS, which, you know, many people are grateful for. That's why they have to clap Thursday now. I tend to miss it because I forget about it. Like Thursday just gone, I was in the kitchen, I could hear people shouting and screaming and pots and pans being clapped, and I thought, what the hell's going on here? And this was at 8 o'clock in the evening. And it only just like hit me that it was like the clap Thursday for the NHS. I thought, oh, okay. So I stood there in the kitchen, clapped for a couple of minutes, and that was it. I think, you know, if it weren't for the NHS, you know, a lot more people would be dying a hell of a lot more people would be dying. You know, it could be tens of thousands of people could be dying if it weren't for the NHS. But now the NHS is threatening not to treat people because they ain't got the proper medical equipment. And it's not like just the gowns and the gloves and the mask. It's the ventilators and stuff, which they've not got. And the government's like screwed the whole country up. Well, not just our country, you know, all governments have screwed up their own countries by putting lockdowns and, you know, people losing their jobs and making them unemployed. Now, what they should have done was like put a lockdown, yeah, but under like social distancing, you know, keep away from people. You know, people can still go out, people can still go and work, but social distance if you can at work. You know, cutting down the transport, you know, the trains and the buses and the underground and the tubes, not actually closing them all down, but reducing them, which I have done, which is a good idea. And requesting the people staying if they can, you know, willingly. But when you've got people with mental health issues like me, stuck indoors, you know, we need to get out. And there are hundreds of people with mental health issues that can't be locked in their own home because the anxiety, the stress and depression they're going in. And if they feel like they have been imprisoned in their own home, which many people have felt of, they're committing suicide. So that's more deaths. And they're not being recorded, are they? If they are being recorded, then they're recorded this falsely, saying they died of COVID. When they hadn't, they probably just died of, you know, suicide or starvation because they weren't able to get out and buy the actual provisions they needed. Anyway, I've had me moan again. But if you are a business and you got, you know, gloves, aprons, masks, you know, stockpiled you don't use, or, you know, your company that's bought them and sold them, instead of sending them, you know, think about donating them. I know it's like money out your pocket, but at least you'll be doing something decent. You'll be helping the NHS and saving lives. And if you are a company that can actually manufacture them, then manufacture them. You know, take them to the hospitals directly instead of going to the government. Because I'm telling you one thing, yeah, you give them the government won't give everything out that you give to them. They're going to probably be taking half of them themselves and probably send them to another country to make some of those millions or billions or trillions of pounds they've been spending out, or stating they're going to be spending out. So that's my idea. If you've got business or you've got stockpile of PPE, send it over to the hospital, take them to the hospital, ship them to the hospital, go there directly. If you ring them up, say, you know, I've got like 50 cases of like gloves, I've got 50 cases of like aprons, I've got 50 cases of like masks, I like to donate them to you. I'm pretty sure that they'd be willing to take them off you, and, you know, you might get yourself in the paper like some other people have done. There's a story of a 14-year-old boy who's got one of those 3D ink printers, who's been sitting at home printing off, I think like 50 masks per day to donate to his local NHS. Good on you. And that was like, you know, in newspapers and through YouTube and through Facebook, I believe, as well, maybe Twitter. So people are helping out. And that's the other way you can help out, by directly going down there and giving the NHS, you know, the hospitals or older people's homes or whatever, the stock that you have, or the stock you can actually manufacture and give. Don't give it to the government, because the government won't give it all to the NHS. They will stockpile a lot of it and keep it and sell it on to make some of the money back they've been spending out lately themselves. So sorry I've not been reading side chat. I'm going to go drink my coffee, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Cheers.